Does this all of this stuff happening? Does it affect your take at all on the whole kind of like white pill argument, or the idea of the concept of your next book, that we should be optimistic for the future? I'll be honest, I get a little bit worried when there's tensions rising between nuclear powers.
No, it doesn't change my outlook at all. I mean, the white pill doesn't mean everything that happens is always going to be good, and that nothing bad is ever going to happen. I think you and I and lots of other people knew that as soon as COVID died down, they were going to pivot to something else. People were saying it's going to be climate lockdowns. I did not think that was plausible, because it's not something that's an immediate emergency like a pandemic is. War is a perfect pivot for them. But the thing is, you and I are old enough to remember, the Iraq War and 9/11 and so on and so forth. And despite what they're trying to do, I don't think the fervor's there. I don't think that they have the will or the capacity to get the U.S., involved in this to the kind of extent that they would want, which is something that's a very good thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with that. I have been thinking that I do think there's an attempt made to pivot toward the climate change thing, but I think you make a very good point that it's just not immediate enough. It's not like a virus that's out there that people are getting, and that you can, it's too off in the future. I think that's a good point. What concerns me about this is that I think that Vladimir Putin really is, I don't think he's like Adolf Hitler, and I don't think he's, lost his mind and is pure evil, but I do think he's a very bad guy. And I think that he has kind of been pushed to the point where now NATO is up to his doorsteps. There was a coup in Iran. Excuse me. I just did the same Biden thing. There was a coup in Ukraine in 2014. And that the pro-Russian government was overthrown, a pro-Western government installed. Yep. Weapons have flooded in since then. This is a big thing that, Trump got impeached for holding up the weapons deal. But the big story is that he caved and he gave all the weapons to Ukraine. And Putin's kind of had it. This is like almost like his red line. And now he's invading Ukraine. I still think it's very possible that he's going to back off of this. But if he does just take over Ukraine, I don't think NATO's going to do anything about it. I think, but does he move further than that? And then if so, again, the difference is it's not just a war. It's not just Iraq. This is a war with, a nuclear armed superpower. And that's what's scary about it.
But that doesn't seem plausible to me, because if his concern, which is a very realistic concern, is having NATO on his border, you don't solve that by moving your border closer to NATO.
Well, you give yourself more of a buffer.
Sure, but if Ukraine is becoming part of Russia again, the buffer is gone. Now you're on. Now you have to be defending Lviv and all those other cities. So,
but I think the point is that if you go look, if you recognize, if you'd rather Ukraine be the buffer, right? Like you'd rather them be an independent country, right? And then you have this buffer zone, and then at a certain point, if you realize, well, there's no such thing as independence. You're either with us or you're with them. Right. I'll take you over just to keep you as the buffer. I think is the idea.
But I really think it's unlikely that if he managed to militarily capture Ukraine, that NATO would do nothing, because NATO would love an excuse to justify its existence, to send in the troops. This is a lot of money for a lot of people. This is a lot of prestige for a lot of people. This is their fantasies. It's World War II. They get to be the good guys. So all the incentives, in my opinion, are for NATO to actually escalate things.
But then do the nukes fly?
Well, that to me was when Putin started being like, okay, we're putting the nukes on alert. That was very disturbing to me. Now there's two scenarios. One is it's a bluff. Right. And he's like reminding everyone of what he can do, which he didn't need to do. We all are very aware that Russia's, strong in terms of nuclear weapons. Or it's not a bluff. And he's just like, just try me. If we're going down swinging hard. So, we all hope it's the first. But I know we're all very scared it's the second.